Okay, so obviously we wish we didn't have to start today's show by acknowledging the very public assassination of a public figure.
Yeah.
But on Wednesday afternoon, the extremely well-connected conservative influencer Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA was murdered in front of hundreds of people at an event that he was hosting at a university in Utah. I think there were a lot of people there, a lot of people filming. I cannot stress enough that the close-up footage of the incident is something you should really try to avoid because it is horrific. I stumbled across it a couple times while scrolling Twitter just to find out what was going on. And avoid that as much as you can, folks.
Yeah, you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
No.
I've so far been able to avoid it, but saw the long angle, and that was more than enough for me. It's awful, truly awful.
So while doing the thing that he is most known for, going to college campuses and challenging teenagers to debate him, someone posted up around 200 yards away, fired a single shot that hit Charlie Kirk in the neck. And while confirmation of his death didn't come for quite a while after that, it was pretty clear that it was not the kind of bullet wound that anyone typically survives.
No. So this is horrific, obviously. And the fact that Charlie Kirk was a right-wing nut job who spent his entire adult life cheering on our steady descent into fascism doesn't make it any less horrific. Regardless of how much you disliked Charlie Kirk, him being murdered doesn't lead to any positive outcome. There's thousands of Charlie Kirks out there. They basically make guys like him in a lab, and sooner or later, someone else will take his place.
Yeah, just watch any Jubilee video.
Yeah.
Your next Charlie Kirk is in that circle somewhere.
His murder isn't worth celebrating because by being murdered, he's being martyred and immortalized more than he ever would have otherwise. It's also not worth celebrating because even without knowing anything about the shooter or their motives, Charlie's colleagues immediately sprung into action, blaming Democrats and the entire left for it and vowing revenge. And this was a guy who was very tight with the president of the United States and many of the key figures in that orbit. So these are not idle threats.
Yeah, it's they wasted no time turning this tragedy into an opportunity. And very well-connected guy, Charlie Kirk. I don't think they're just going to let this one this one go without using it as an opportunity to go after their perceived enemies.
There was a lot of talking down to people online while the right immediately launched into attack mode and scattershot of what they're blaming this time. Even going on national news channels and just saying things that have not been confirmed at all.
We still, as of when we're filming this,
they don't have the guy.
The shoot, there was like a couple like persons of interest, and of course, in the aftermath of things like this, there's all sorts of you can never trust what anyone says. But they still don't know who the shooter was, and at this point, it's like if they don't get him in the immediate aftermath, the odds of getting him later, go down significantly, which is kind of shocking because this is a college campus. Presumably there's cameras everywhere. One does have to wonder if the sad state of the FBI at the moment might be hindering this investigation.
Coming directly from the top down, you have the head of the FBI, Kash Patel, tweeting through it and putting out information that turned out to not be true multiple times, saying that they had the suspect in custody and then they didn't, or they had a person of interest but then they were interrogated and let go, and putting out different reactions to this during all of it, adding to the confusion.
So
we do want to be clear, though, that all the talk about how political violence has no place in American society that we've heard from all across the political spectrum and the news media in the wake of this assassination, it does ring pretty hollow at a time when the U.S. military has been deployed to multiple left-leaning U.S. cities to assist federal agents as they terrorize immigrant communities and tear families apart. It rings hollow when the people protesting against that are brutalized by police. It rings hollow at a time when just a few months ago, a right-wing nutjob assassinated a Democratic politician in Minnesota and planned to assassinate several more. And the response from the right was to minimize the situation and spread lies about the shooter being a Democrat. It rings hollow when Nancy Pelosi's husband is nearly killed and they treat it like a big joke. And it rings hollow when guys like Charlie Kirk make a career out of celebrating or at least minimizing not only all of that, but also genocide, insurrection, and a general hatred and distrust towards anyone who doesn't fit their very narrow view of what constitutes a real American.
Yeah, political violence has no place in America. I mean, I wish that were true. It's got quite a place right now. This just being the latest example of it. It should also be noted, for what it's worth, that one of the things that Charlie Kirk spent his life promoting was unfettered access to firearms, regardless of the collateral damage. For example, here's some of what Charlie Kirk had to say on the topic at a Turning Point USA event in 2023. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price, and that is part of liberty. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That's a prudent deal. It is rational. So, as terrible as it was seeing Charlie Kirk get gunned down in public at just 31 years old, leaving behind a wife and 2 young children, Charlie Kirk himself, based on his own statements, would probably argue that that's simply the price of freedom.
Yeah, it's
These things happen.
It's an awful situation. The reaction online has been crazy. And you could only imagine how Charlie Kirk himself would react to something similar. The thing is, he does have a track record. He has a very long history of how he reacts to things like this.
Yeah, just a long history in general of really harmful opinions on a number of subjects. A guy that really didn't care about the lives of a lot of other people. Yeah. And
it's like this guy's ideologies years ago and should still now be laughed away and should be mocked and ridiculed and not taken seriously.
Yeah.
And it is awful that we've gotten to a point where something like this has happened as a result of whatever, like whoever pulled the trigger or anything like that, because we don't know right now. It's just...
And quite a shot it was, like 200 yards. I mean, I don't know jack shit about shooting. Maybe some of you can help me here, but it seemed like it was quite a long shot with some pretty good accuracy. And like, I don't know, they're blaming this on the left and like,
it could be,
and it's Utah, and it's I don't know.
It is a Republican state and stuff, but again, who knows? Anyone can target practice in this country. That's like part of the whole country's thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So it's just, we don't know right now. It's up in the air. And that is, we are filming several hours after it happened. And that's the updates right now, which is honestly kind of concerning because the reality of that situation is that there's an armed and dangerous person quite literally on the loose.
And as long as we don't know who did this, that gives everyone the license to imagine who did it in their head and direct all of their anger towards the imaginary shooter in lieu of an actual shooter. And I mean,
that's the thing. There's the rep from Utah that was there with him that immediately went on Fox News and started blaming transgender people. Like,
yeah. I mean,
and that's
what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. He was kind of doing that like at the moment he died.
Yeah.
So keeping it alive, I guess.
Anyways, like we said at the top of the show, this is not what we wanted to be talking about today, but it's unfortunately cast a pretty big shadow over everything. So sorry that the vibes are just totally fucked right now. We've got other stuff that we were planning on covering before all this went down, and the vibes were pretty atrocious to begin with, honestly. And that's because it's still Epstein time. And up until mid-afternoon on Wednesday, this Epstein story was getting larger, more severe, and a hell of a lot more damning.
Yeah. So transitioning now from assassination to sex trafficking.
Yeah. At the highest levels of our government.
Happy Thursday.
So earlier this week, we covered the news that the extremely creepy 50th birthday letter Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein that the Wall Street Journal reported on a while back, resulting in Trump suing them for libel, was double confirmed and revealed for all to see with their own eyes. Epstein's estate provided the House Oversight Committee with the entire book of birthday letters, and Trump's letter was obviously the most intriguing. But once it was clear that Trump did indeed send Epstein a hand-drawn image of a naked female torso with the text about their wonderful little secrets, it was time to flip through the rest of that book and see if any other Epstein friends wrote anything else that might be considered, I don't know, extremely fucking creepy and damning.
Probably not. It was probably just Trump, right?
That's where you're wrong, bucko, because everyone really wanted to share their love with Jeff in this book and admit everything.
Turns out rich assholes are all friends with each other and they're all fucking freaks.
Yeah.
So the book is over 200 pages long. It contains a lot of relatively normal 50th birthday stuff, in addition to the horrors. It's also full of the kind of boomer cursive handwriting that is either impossible to read or just gives you a really, really bad headache. So thankfully, others have done the hard work of deciphering the relevant chicken scratch.
Like the pharmacist reading the doctor's signature, someone else has looked at this and said, here's what the words say.
Yeah, sometimes I do get like one of my most reactionary opinions is that it sucks that our penmanship has all gone to shit.
True.
But then I look at this, I'm like, maybe
It's always been bad.
it's always been bad.
Yep.
Maybe it's actually better that people can't write. People go like months without writing anything, and now they write like second graders because at least that shit's easier to read than whatever the hell is going on here.
Yeah.
So we'll get to all of the horrors in a second, but some of these pages are much more visual than others. And this one here certainly stands out. Now, it's unclear who drew this, but it was definitely someone who knew about Jeffrey Epstein's wonderful little secrets and didn't have a problem with them. Because on the left, you've got the year 1983, and there's Jeffrey Epstein giving a bunch of very young girls some balloons. And then on the right, you've got the year 2003, and it's Jeffrey Epstein again. But this time he's lying on a beach chair getting massaged and sexually serviced by topless women, with Epstein's island mansion in the background and his Lolita Express private airplane in the sky above. What do they mean by that?
Mr. Policeman?
What's the subtext here?
He is quite literally giving all of the visual cues.
I mean, come the fuck on. Like, this is one of the more egregious examples from the book, but it is abundantly clear throughout that a ton of Epstein's friends knew exactly what he was all about. And they were not bashful about it. They weren't ashamed of it. It didn't push them away at all. That's Jeffrey, my friend, the pedophile.
In fact, let me take some time to write a very personal note about this. And also a couple drawings, maybe.
Jeffrey, 50 years, what can you say? You fucked a lot of children, didn't you?
Yeah.
So here's Rolling Stone with much more where that came from, and we will try and show the relevant pages on screen next to their commentary.
What's remarkable about the birthday book, though, is that Trump's alleged letter is hardly out of place with its creepy innuendos and suggestive sketch. In fact, the 3-volume scrapbook, totaling over 200 pages, is full of such veiled references from Epstein's pals, direct commentary about his insatiable lust and countless girlfriends, and redacted photos of Epstein with scantily clad or partially nude women. There are also drawings that allude to his travel by private jet. His Boeing 727-100 aircraft, on which he allegedly had sex with teenage girls, has been dubbed the Lolita Express, and nods to his illicit behavior. A collection of limericks written by his art advisor, Stuart Pivar, for example, notes that Epstein, though up to no good whenever he could, has avoided the penitentiary.
Why would he be what could he have meant by that?
Yeah.
Huh.
What possibly could he have done to equal going to a penitentiary for what I assume would be a very long time? And one unsigned handwritten portion by a Brooklyn friend recalls how the author, Epstein, their friend Warren Eisenstein, and Mark Epstein picked up girls on the beach and took them out on a boat, where the author claims to have taken out a knife and told them to strip off their bathing suits. The same author describes himself and Jeffrey Epstein in bed porking some girls, while Epstein is shoving penicillin down my throat. He further recounts going out with Epstein and 2 very young girls, probably just 17. The typewritten letter after that, signed by a Johnny Boy Kafka, describes Epstein's parents conceiving him in extremely graphic detail.
Yeah, and that one, I did read that one, and it has nothing, it doesn't implicate Epstein in anything, but just the way it's written is completely fucking insane to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, it starts by like, just really graphically describing Epstein's parents having sex and conceiving him. And,
seems like something that they were probably really comfortable talking about in person all the time.
Yeah, I guess.
To be able to write it out like that and have him get it.
And then, the part about like essentially kidnapping some girls, putting them on a boat because of the implication, literally doing the Dennis Reynolds
and
thing.
Then holding them up at knife point.
Yeah, and just putting that casually in here, being like, good times, right?
We always remember all of the wonderful secrets.
Fucking A. Like, there's so much of this shit in here, too. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's all very damning and looks very bad.
And like a lot of these people, like, we know who they are. They're out there.
Yeah, go get them. Arrest these people.
Anyway, here's more. The Friends chapter of the birthday book, which includes the letter that Trump denies writing, is perhaps the most disturbing. It begins with a photo of what appears to be Epstein and another man in hooded masks and text that reads, in part, Jeffrey unveiled his plan. To some, it may have seemed a get-rich-quick scheme, but to me, it was pure genius. Rob and kill was the name of the plan. The first victim, to be attacked and brutally plundered, would she want more than that? On the boardwalk in Venice Beach. Broad daylight. The dastardly thieves were never caught. What?
Wow.
It's just a little joke we have.
Yeah, he'll get it.
Just
When
a
he
little
reads
joke
it,
we have about-
he'll get it. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Just a bit we have, bit between friends about like raping and murdering women.
This is what like is the fucked up part for me is that like not only are these people writing these very incriminating, bizarre, evil and violent stories, they're writing them and going, when he reads that, he's going to get a kick out of it.
Yeah, because they were. This is the thing is like I'm like were they all told to like be as sexual as possible? And it's like no. Apparently, Ghislaine, she's just like yeah, we're trying to make it fun.
Yeah.
We're trying to have a laugh here. And so, yeah, they're all trying to be like hilarious.
It's like it's like a birthday roast or something, except where they just implicate each other in crimes.
Yeah, like I'm trying so hard not to like be dismissive, but I'm like I can see situations where like yeah, out of context, some shit that some old friends send to each other might come off bad, but this is beyond that. Well beyond that.
Yeah, there's no subtlety in it.
No. Another letter addresses Epstein as Degenerate 1 and is signed Degenerate 2.
Oh, they should get those shirts and they should wear them to Universal together.
Yeah. Alan Dershowitz, the famed attorney who once counted Epstein as a client, submitted a spoof cover of Vanity Fair, tweaked as Vanity Unfair, with fake headlines speculating that Epstein was Jack the Ripper and had financed the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. Dershowitz joked that he had talked them into changing the focus of the issue from you to Bill Clinton. Clinton, too, appears in the scrapbook with a brief scribbled note commending Epstein for his childlike curiosity.
Gross.
What did he mean by that?
We should find out. Other friends rehashed lewd incidents and wrote of his luxurious homes he likes to share with his friends. Yum, yum.
What?
Nathan Myhrvold, former chief technology officer at Microsoft, noted that he was ill-prepared to comment on Epstein's lifestyle in any detail, and instead appended pictures from a recent trip to Africa that showed zebras and lions having sex. Joel Pashkow, former chairman of a New York real estate company, contributed clip art of an airplane and women in bathing suits.
That's one of my favorite ones. Very graphic design is my passion.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, I really want to convey exactly what we do with Jeff all the time.
Women.
Flying
Flying with women.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know.
Trump comes up a second time in the Friends collage, with Epstein seen in a photo holding a large novelty check that bears his name. Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women, the caption says, sells fully depreciated, name redacted, to Donald Trump.
Wait. What do they mean by that? He's selling a woman to Donald, a fully depreciated woman. What could that mean?
It seems as though they're like pulling a joke on him, like by casting off someone that they don't want, and they're like pranking Trump by selling him bad goods or something.
Yeah.
It is a very awkwardly...
Well, and it's especially alarming when you consider the fact that at least some of the Epstein accusers were first scouted out while working for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and with Donald Trump quite publicly stating that in some cases women were stolen from him.
They stole.
So, yeah.
But it sounds like maybe he says they were stolen because Epstein lowballed him.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Epstein is posing with Pashkow, a third man and a woman whose face is censored. Again, Trump in July made the remarkable claim that he and Epstein eventually parted ways because the financier stole spa workers from his Mar-a-Lago club. Another letter included with an illustration of breasts with the note, I wanted to get you what you want, and painted designs with the impression of a nipple on the page, captioned as tit prints and specially commissioned by late economist Henry Rozowski.
Yeah, and the drawing of the tits is believed to be from Les Wexner, who, the Victoria's Secret guy, who, as far as anyone can tell, was Jeffrey Epstein's only actual, like, documented client as a financial advisor.
Yeah.
So those guys were tight.
Yeah.
They were suspiciously tight.
Yeah, enough to give specially commissioned tit prints.
Yeah. One of the last shocking items in the book comes in the business chapter from Elliot Wolk, who worked at Bear Stearns when Epstein was at the investment bank in the 1970s. Jeffrey, I remember in the mid-1970s you being a star salesman for our tax-advantaged strategies and hedged options program, he wrote. I was running an account for Bob Maxwell. That would be the media mogul Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine Maxwell. You always had the ability to know everyone and be charming, wrote Wolk. Was that when you first discovered the Maxwell teenage daughter? Officially, Epstein and Maxwell did not date until 1991. In 1976, when Epstein joined Bear Stearns, he would have been in his early 20s, while Maxwell would have been in her mid-teens. So, that's some lore.
Yeah. Anyway, believe it or not, that still barely covers just how aggressively horny so much of this book is. But that's the creepiest stuff. And Trump's letter, as creepy as it is, barely stands out among so many other very creepy letters.
Which is crazy.
It makes it even more ridiculous that Trump is still insisting that he never wrote the letter and is being framed by his political enemies. And it's even crazier when you see many newspapers going, I don't know, there's at least a little plausible deniability with that signature.
No, there
isn't. And not at all.
I love that shit. No, I hate it, but like I love that because it's like, okay, walk me through how that would work.
Yeah.
This is my thing. My thing with like conspiracy theories and all of that is like, it has to pass a certain threshold. And that threshold is explain how that would fucking work.
Yeah, especially
explain the logic of how that would actually play out.
22 years old.
Someone snuck into like the warehouse holding Jeffrey Epstein's like fucking items and just slipped this paper into a book from 2003. Come on.
That one that was also thematically correct with the other items in the book.
Yeah.
Consistent with his signature at the time.
And they removed the real letter from Trump that said, Jeffrey,
you criminal piece of shit.
Jeffrey, I disapprove of so much of what you do.
I hate you. I lied in that Vanity Fair article.
You treat women very poorly, and I wish you a bad 50th birthday.
Yes. And
here's a little drawing of a prison cell where
you're going to live forever. And never die.
Come on.
Trump, like the rest of Jeffrey Epstein's very close friends, knew what was going on. And whether or not they personally participated in any of it, they certainly didn't have a problem with it. To believe otherwise is to quite literally ignore reality.
Yeah, honestly, like, I mean, there's several layers to the Epstein thing, and I'm like definitely more skeptical of some of them than others. But this changed things for me. I always thought the idea of like the cabal of sex traffickers was a little bit like far-fetched. I'm like, it wouldn't be just doing this shit out in the open. But now, like, I don't know, it sounds like it was kind of out in the open for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were just like, oh, that's Jeff. That's my friend Jeff, the pedophile, or if their involvement was more than that. But like, I don't know. This is very eye-opening shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, now's the part of the show where we make the extremely awkward transition from the horrible news of the day.
Not getting any easier, is it?
To letting you know about brands who give us money.
Hey, it is. At least it's a good product.
Products. Yeah, this
I like
episode
this stuff.
Sponsored by Huel.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like us, the chaos of modern life can often mean forgetting to eat something healthy in the morning. But thankfully, just grabbing a Huel Black Edition has been a total game changer that starts the day off right. Fall is near, school and work are ramping up. Life is busy for all of us. I get it, you get it. Time is tough to come by, especially to get a meal that helps you towards your goals. Fortunately, Huel gets it too. Spelled Huel, their Black Edition powder is a complete meal so you feel full, focused, and ready for your day. At less than $3 per meal, it's packed with 40 grams of plant-based protein and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. No added sugar, gluten-free, tastes great with flavors like salted caramel and chocolate, plus it keeps me full for hours. It's perfect for breakfast, lunch, or post-workout.
And just when you thought Huel had everything covered, they just dropped a first of its kind Super Greens drink in a can.
It's tasty.
And it's called the Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink, so you can forget powders, forget pills. This is your daily greens, and I like it. It's sparkling, it's refreshing, it's good, and it's ready whenever you are. No mixing, no mess. It's quick and convenient. It doesn't compromise on nutrients. It's sparkling, baby, and it comes in flavors like blueberry, apple, and peach that are actually delicious.
Just give it a little shake before you drink it.
42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, made by dietitians. It is a total game changer. Together, Huel makes healthy eating simple. It is still pretty hot out here, and it is very nice to start my walks with one of these in the hand because it's just very refreshing.
A crisp walk.
Try both today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with our exclusive code TechNewsDay15 at Huel.com/TechNewsDay15. Use our code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show.
Okay, back to the news now. Back to the horrors. And out of everything so far today, I guess this is by far the least bad, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's all bad. And it has to do with FBI Director Kash Patel, who, when he isn't falsely claiming that assassins are in custody, when they definitely aren't, has been purging the FBI of personnel who aren't sufficiently devoted to carrying out the MAGA agenda. I mean, that's pretty different from how things usually are supposed to work at the FBI, which up until now has been independent from the White House and has avoided partisan politics because their job is investigating crimes, and it's easier to do that when you're not beholden to a specific regime in power.
Yeah.
But under Kash Patel, what they're doing isn't even subtle. They're literally interrogating personnel about who they voted for and how committed they are to Donald Trump, and they're firing them if they don't seem sufficiently based. They're literally using the word based. Sorry, you're just not based enough. And now 3 of the people fired for not being based enough are suing the Trump administration, and their lawsuit is pretty damning.
Yeah.
Here's NBC News.
3 former senior FBI officials, summarily fired last month, are suing FBI Director Kash Patel and the Trump administration, alleging that their terminations were part of a White House-directed purge driven at least in part by social media bullying from MAGA loyalists. Brian Driscoll, the former acting FBI director for a month at the start of the second Trump administration, Stephen Jensen, who Patel installed as assistant director in charge of the Washington field office, and Spencer Evans, who led the Las Vegas field office, alleged that Patel had politicized the FBI to protect his own job. Patel not only acted unlawfully, but deliberately chose to prioritize politicizing the FBI over protecting the American people, the lawsuit states. Their lawsuit, filed in Washington, D.C. federal court on Wednesday, seeks for their firings to be declared illegal and for their reinstatement to their jobs with back pay.
That Brian Driscoll guy, remember him? The Driz?
Yeah.
He's the one that was, it was him and another guy. They're like, all right, you're the acting deputy director and you're the acting assistant, I don't know. But they got him mixed up, and the Driz suddenly found himself running
Position of power, yeah.
running the FBI, essentially. And I guess for a while there, he was like preventing a lot of this retribution shit from happening, because he's like, what do you do? I can't fire every agent who is assigned to a Trump case. That's literally thousands of FBI agents. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, it continues. The 68-page complaint provides, for the first time, first-hand accounts from the top of the FBI of the tumultuous first few weeks of President Donald Trump's second term. Driscoll and other top officials resisted efforts to try to fire or otherwise punish all FBI agents or employees for simply having worked on criminal investigations of Trump, the complaint says. Patel told Driscoll in an early August conversation that his bosses had directed him to fire anyone who they identified as having worked on a criminal investigation against President Donald J. Trump, the complaint says. Patel and other officials during Senate confirmation hearings had dismissed any plans for political retribution, despite Trump's repeated threats during his campaign rallies to do exactly that. No one will be terminated for case assignments, Patel said during his confirmation hearing in late January. In the early August conversations with Driscoll, Patel is cited as saying there was nothing he or Driscoll could do to stop these or any other firings because the FBI tried to put the president in jail, and he hasn't forgotten it. According to the lawsuit, Patel said that he needed to carry out firings to keep his job.
Yeah, that all sounds very legitimate and like...
Sounds exactly like everything else would indicate.
Yeah, and to get a sense of just how experienced and qualified these 3 guys were, especially compared to Kash fucking Patel, here's NPR. The 3 plaintiffs are among the most senior and lauded FBI agents to have worked at the Bureau in recent memory. Brian Driscoll won awards for bravery and valor and led hostage rescue teams before briefly serving as acting FBI director this year. Stephen Jensen ran the Washington field office and managed some 2,000 employees working on national security and violent crime. Spencer Evans oversaw high-profile investigations, including a Tesla Cybertruck bombing outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas this year, according to the lawsuit. And here's an example from the lawsuit itself of the vibe shift at the FBI as soon as Trump was inaugurated. Brian Driscoll, aka The Driz, was asked a series of questions by Paul Ingrassia, a guy with close ties to a number of right-wing extremists, who was later nominated by Trump to be the special counsel of the United States.
Cool. So at first, it's questions like, what are the most significant threats to the country? And what are your thoughts on the structure of the FBI? But then very quickly, it turns into questions like, who did you vote for? Should the agents who raided Mar-a-Lago be held accountable?
Do you love the president?
What do you think about DEI? When did you start supporting President Trump? And have you voted for a Democrat in the last 5 elections?
Would you kiss Donald Trump if he asked you nicely?
This is fucking crazy.
Would you shine his shoes?
Because this is the thing, like the FBI has historically been so apolitical, like as a matter of course, that like agents are like, these guys, especially people who've been working there for decades, are like, I'm not supposed to talk about any of that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even allowed, like my coworkers shouldn't know what I think about politics. Mm-hmm. And you're just asking me straight up, like, who'd you vote for? It's crazy. So Driscoll refused to answer any of the questions about voting or about supporting Trump. And his answer to the Mar-a-Lago question was that the agents were literally just doing their jobs. His answer regarding DEI was that diversity in the FBI workforce is good, but shouldn't be the sole factor in promotions and shouldn't lower the agency standards. So basically the standard rational
middle
opinion,
of the road.
Yeah, diversity is good, but also qualifications are good.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the answers the way I've been trained, which is by the book, and in the exact way that you should be receiving these and writing them down, because any other way would seem very political.
Yeah, none of this has anything to do with my fucking job.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently this was all very, very bad for the Driz. But standing up for his fellow FBI personnel was what ultimately did him in, as CNN explains here.
The complaint portrays Patel and Dan Bongino, the deputy FBI director, as particularly concerned about their social media profiles and the reaction from influential Trump allies who frequently tagged top White House officials in their posts about the Bureau. But some of those social media accounts also trafficked in false claims that in the end, that cost men their jobs, according to the lawsuit. Driscoll was fired after fighting to save the job of an FBI pilot and military veteran who had become the subject of pro-Trump social media scrutiny over claims that he had participated in Trump investigations or the search of the president's Mar-a-Lago home, the complaint says. The agent had, in fact, not been involved in the Mar-a-Lago investigation and wasn't accused of misconduct, the complaint says. The agent was fired the same day as Driscoll, according to the lawsuit.
Can you imagine?
I wasn't even there.
Working at the FBI, it sounds like you're a pretty big deal there, and you lose your job because some random fucking chuds on Twitter think you did something you didn't do and are just constantly in like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino's replies like, when are you gonna fire him? When are you gonna fire him?
It's, I'm sure, extra frustrating that you are the agent at the Federal Bureau of Investigations while the heads of your bureau are taking with no salt the investigations of a bunch of random people online.
They're in the Twitter Bureau of Investigation, which
I think we're going to side with our Twitter guys on
standards,
this. Yeah.
But they said you were there.
Yeah. And everything's vibes-based now.
Patriot Boy 1488 swore to me that you were there.
I think I know who to trust when it comes to investigations.
Gunther Eagleman would never lie to me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's some more on how the FBI is essentially being run by these two dipshits' Twitter feeds at this point, and how, at the very least, it's got to suck for them. They seem to be having a really fucking bad time.
Dan Bongino specifically.
Because they're balancing actual political power with clout, and the two things are very incompatible.
Yeah.
It sounds like they are miserable. Anyway, here you go. Jensen was fired after Patel and Bongino came under attack by Trump supporters on social media because of his involvement in investigating January 6th cases, the complaint says. Evans' termination came after a former agent who had been fired for refusing to follow COVID requirements began a social media campaign targeting Evans because of his role in overseeing the FBI's Human Resource Division during the pandemic era, the complaint says. When he was first promoted to help lead the Washington field office, Jensen was attacked online by former January 6th defendants and their allies, the complaint says, and began aggressively posting to Patel and Bongino's social media pages calling for Jensen's firing, arrest, and other retribution. Both Patel and Bongino lamented that they were spending a lot of political capital to keep him in the position despite the backlash online, with the director suggesting at one point that he was placing positive stories in the media about Jensen and his new position, the lawsuit says.
Jesus.
Patel also wanted Jensen to sue some prominent online personalities going after him because it would relieve political pressure the FBI director was feeling.
And that is just scratching the surface of this shit show. This lawsuit is very revealing of just how much of a corrupt clown show the FBI has become under Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi. And again, these aren't just random accusations. These 3 plaintiffs were valued members of the FBI until Trump took office this year, and the podcast bozos that Trump put in charge decided to just clean house. You know what? Let's do a brain drain of the FBI.
Yeah, I mean, this is indicative of a trend.
As retribution, by the way, no other reason, no other like, legitimate reason.
Yeah, it sounds like they did their job. They served honorably. You know, like it sounds like they were the ideal FBI personnel, and now they're gone because of fucking nothing. And it's in every federal agency across the entire government.
Yep,
we're getting these people who have devoted their lives to something or other, who aren't there anymore. It cannot be good for morale. It can't be good for actual like competency and institutional knowledge about
what it
things.
is good for is getting those bureaus and other things filled with sycophants.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder, the thing with Charlie Kirk, like, is the reason that they haven't caught the shooter yet, does that have anything to do with the fact that the FBI
how is it running internally?
Like, would a more efficient FBI that isn't missing a lot of key talent be handling this better?
Would an FBI director that isn't terminally online not be posting incorrect information all day and instead maybe focusing on the investigation as it plays out? Instead of just like putting everything that he hears on his Twitter feed, like it was like the people being interviewed in the immediate aftermath on cable news. I understand they're in terrible distress after having witnessed that. But you have people on a national broadcast that are just saying things that they saw on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, no, you were there.
You were there, but you're also repeating something that someone else posted who wasn't there and that you just found online, and you're repeating that as if it's true. And yes, you have been through a horrible situation, but we don't need your statement on.
We're only talking
the investigation
because you were there.
Yeah.
We all got Twitter.
It was crazy to listen to because they're like, yeah, we were there and this is what happened. And also online, it does say that they have the guy in custody, and it's like, okay, well, leave that part out because that's just hearsay.
Dumb. Anyway, this is bad for a lot of reasons, what's happening at the FBI. But probably the worst reason is that there's no way that the FBI is actually operating effectively with this kind of leadership. And that's potentially really, really fucking bad for national security.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying the FBI is good. No. God bless the FBI or anything like that. But I'd rather they work effectively and have like talented people in charge than whatever the fuck is going on right now.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for today's video. We will be back for more soon. I know it's a very
rough one.
Day.
Real rough one.
Yeah. We're not gonna like pitch anything here. Just like the video if you want, you know what to do. The merch store did go up. Thank you for people who ordered. We'll talk more about that later in the week when it's appropriate, but we do want to say thank you for everyone who did make an order. Link will be in the description. We really appreciate you being here. There's other videos for you to watch that at this point are somehow more uplifting than today's.
Yeah. It's not positive news, but it's less negative.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon, and have a good week.
Bye.